Committee. There it is. This meeting of the Property Management Committee is being conducted electronically pursuant to Governor's Bill Lee's Executive Order 16. I would ask for a motion that conducting the meeting electronically is necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare in light of the coronavirus.
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? Got a second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Cook? Yes. Commissioner Dodd? Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Glad to see that Commissioner Dodd woke up. Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Chairman McAdoo?
Yes. Okay, first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed those minutes and I move for approval.
Got a motion, a second?
Second.
Got a second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo?
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is the UV presentation, Adam Skelton.
Mr. Chairman, let me kind of make an introduction very quickly before Adam comes up. And he has with him today Jeff Lynn, who is principal of Safe Air UV. Adam, and I can't remember the young lady's name that's with you. But they came before us, Mr. Mankin, Mr. Sandlin, and we listened to their presentation. Just to give you a little background, we are currently using their products through another company, but they're the ones that actually have it manufactured. It's a Tennessee-based company, and they're the ultraviolet lights. Well, they come in and decontaminate. It's a portable light, and we put them in the back of our ambulances, etc. We just ordered 12 or 14, I believe, since the pandemic started. We already had a few on hand. Now, Mr. Skelton, his father, I believe, is one that started this company, but they're more interested in putting in a grander scale the UV cleaners or the lights inside of our HVAC systems on our buildings, which he'll share with us. We told him we'd give him about 10 minutes to kind of talk about it, hit it, and then what I would ask, if this committee wanted to move forward, we can identify what buildings you would like for us to get some sort of quote on to clean the air and kill all the particles and I guess viruses, bacteria, etc. And then we could come back at a later point in time before we go into next year's budget and make a presentation to the committee, Mr. Chairman. So, could Mr. Skelton, if you would, please come on up, and anybody else that wants to come up and speak in the well and make your presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We appreciate you having us. This is Megan Saunders. I've been in Murfreesboro since 2000, MTSU grad.
Adam, slide over in front of the mic.
Hello, and I apologize. Adam Skelton, and Murfreesboro local since 2000, MTSU grad. Megan Saunders has been working for us recently and doing a fantastic job, and I'm going to let her actually lead the presentation. She's born and raised Rutherford County, and we're very proud of her. This is Megan Saunders.
Thanks. All right. Thank you all for having us here tonight. We are very, very proud to get to be here before you and speak to you here in this greatest county of Tennessee. Again, a little biased because I'm from here. grew up here, raised my family here, but we want to help you find some additional solutions on how to make our county even safer for all the employees in these buildings, as well as any other occupants and all the residents coming in to do business with us. All right, so Safe Air UV is who we are. We are an independent distributor of the Evergreen UV products. Evergreen is based in Memphis, so we do produce our products here in Tennessee. It has been around since 1963. We provide solutions for disinfection, for air and surface. There's also odor neutralizing benefits, as well as many others that we will talk about tonight. So as we mentioned, we are an independent distributor of the Evergreen UV products. The owner of Evergreen UV is David Skelton. He is a real titan in the industry. As the next slide shows, he is highly accredited and has held a lot of different offices within and has really helped to establish not only the national standards for UV, but also global. So we are proud to have him at the helm and all of his knowledge and connections to help us help you. So we find that UV technology is very helpful across really all industries, because who doesn't want cleaner, better indoor air, especially cleaner indoor air that comes with energy savings? We see great benefit in hospitals, schools, office space, as well as correctional facilities. We're a proven disinfection solution, and basically how it works is the UV light is able to break down the DNA and the RNA to actually disrupt these infectious pathogens. It keeps them from reproducing or colonizing, so that these gross things, the pathogens, bacteria, mold, whatever is in the air that could potentially make us sick, is no longer a threat to us. One of my favorite things about the UV technology is kind of going against the grain a little bit. These days, we are inundated with the newest, the latest, the greatest, the best, whatever's cutting edge, all these buzzwords. But UV technology is not new. It's tried and true. It is proven. It has been around since at least 1895 as a way to disinfect. In the materials that Adam provided to you all, you've got a folder that has a lot of information. There's also a USB drive that has a little more in depth, so you can study that as much as you'd like to. All of this is going to be there as well. So here's a list of a lot of the viruses, bacteria, microbes that actually penetrate a regular filter. So while filters are still needed and necessary, we are that added layer of protection that's really going to get in there and destroy some of that the filter's not. One of the solutions that we provide is Induct UV. So in addition to the lanterns that were mentioned, which we'll talk about those a little bit more as well, we provide solutions that actually go inside of the air ducts. So that is giving us the opportunity for the UV to actually destroy these pathogens with each air pass through the duct. We have technology that allows for up to 99.9% destruction of these pathogens. We also have the portable lanterns, which Mayor Ketron mentioned. You all have actually already purchased through our designated medical provider and are using those with EMS in some of the ambulances. So we appreciate that, and we know that you're seeing great results. We have additional lanterns available. We've actually got our big brother to that lantern here in the back tonight if anybody wants to take a look at it. These are great for, as we said, ambulances, but maybe even in a correctional facility and processing or anywhere that's a high traffic area where you're going to see a lot of people coming in and out or anything that you know if a room has been exposed or been potentially exposed, then these are a great portable solution you can bring in and disinfect the area. We also have the upper room disinfection options. These are going to be mounted on a wall. We kind of look at these as an added layer of protection if you're doing the induct, but these also provide really great peace of mind in an area where you're going to have a lot of public space, people coming in to do business, because as a consumer, I can see this. I see what you're doing. I know that it's there. It's making me feel good that you're taking steps to help protect me. And as an employee, I also, again, can see it. I know it's there. It makes me feel more comfortable and confident about being at work and being in a space for a considerable period of time. Anytime, but especially now that we have kind of a heightened awareness about what's going on around us. The EPA is stating that UV disinfection is a best practice right now for the improved indoor environmental quality and energy efficiency, and not only all new construction, but in retrofits of existing structures, like a lot of our historical structures here that we like to make sure we're taking care of, 20 North, the Goldstein Building. As we're doing these improvements, these are a really nice upgrade. Sorry, we're getting a little wild here. All right, there we go. Thank you. So a few questions. How do we know it's working? Again, as I mentioned with those induct options, it is going to kill the pathogens with each air pass. So this is kind of going to be able to maximize our kill zone. We're getting the greatest opportunity to get rid of these particles as they're first entering. And for the upper room, that is going to be kind of based on more of the actual fixture you're using, the type of circulation in there, the proximity to the fixture. And then with the portable, we can do calculations based on the size of the space on how long it's going to take care of anything that is there. As I mentioned before, it is also an energy saving solution. So using this UV light, especially in those induct areas, it is going to clean your coils, which is going to make your items run more efficiently. It's also going to cut down on maintenance costs because you're not going to have so many calls for somebody to come in and actually do that cleaning. So we're going to use a little less labor there as well. And because of this, we have a great partnership with TVA. They appreciate that we're helping with the energy grid, that we're helping get rid of some of that unnecessary energy use. So we're part of their preferred partner network, and they actually offer a rebate of $30 per ton when you're installing this induct. And we, Safe Air, do all of the paperwork for that. We handle all of that with TVA, so any rebate that you would get is not something that you have to go and file for. We take care of it, and it's cut out of the price up front. The city of Murfreesboro is currently using this technology in many of their buildings. So I think we have lots of friends and neighbors that we could each talk to ask some questions if you want a peer to give you a recommendation or let you know how they feel about it. Some people ask about if UV is safe. It is safe. These items that we have kill switches, and they are set up so that they can run when an area is not occupied, but also some of the solutions have louvers or different types of structure where you're not just exposed to the UV. But if there was an inadvertent exposure, it's basically like getting a light sunburn, but we would take all precautions for that not to happen, obviously. So maintenance.
I think that item is important, the last one.
Yes.
Is that you are the #1 dealer of Philips, because we had a problem back when the virus first hit in March. We were getting them through the other company that y'all make them
Sure.
from, but there was a delay in getting the ultraviolet bulbs, and because of your all's relationship being the #1 seller of the Philip bulbs, the delay time is not as long, right?
Sure, that's a great point. Yes. We are the #1 dealer of the Philips bulbs, so we do kind of get first rights to the bulbs that they produce for UV. So we are very proud of that partnership with them, and it is helpful. With these bulbs, they do tend to see a 9,000 hour life, which is typically 1 calendar year. It often can go past that, but we have ways of testing to see what kind of life is left in the bulbs and what type of efficacy you're still getting.
And we won't be paying out the nose.
Correct.
According to
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
So we have a few of the companies that we have installed in, the CDC, the FDA. There's also, like I mentioned, within your paperwork, you can see a few studies where, like the University of Memphis saw a $125,000 annual energy savings after installing these items. Kentucky Community Technical College System, Kenton County School District, and many, many others. So at this time, again, we want to thank you for allowing us to come here tonight, and I'm going to toss it back to Adam Skelton to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Megan. Can you see why we're so proud? A couple of things that are really fascinating to me, and I'm just like kind of the science geek of the bunch, I guess, is the background and all the research and all the study that's gone into the ultraviolet efficacy on pathogens. Almost every known pathogen has a very specific, what's called a K value, of how much ultraviolet light it takes to inactivate that pathogen, basically making it unable to reproduce and unable to cause us problems. Coronavirus, for example, has a K value of 0.377. What that means to you is I can put that in a very precise formula and tell you that in a half a second, if the air comes within 12 inches of this bulb in an air duct, that we will completely inactivate this up to 90 or 99%, depending on how much UV we inject into that chamber. So it's a very calculated and known. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You tell us what pathogens are a target. Obviously, coronavirus is one. Hey, but we also want to protect our staff and our teachers and our students from the flu. This kills the flu. We also want to protect from staff. I've got a chart here comparing this one lantern, the EDU 495 versus the 435, and just the difference. So I can tell you the difference in C. diff, that it'll take at 5 feet away. I can inactivate C. diff in 14 minutes to a 99.99% inactivation rate. So it's very, very calculated, very, very precise. And so I just wanted to emphasize that, give you some peace of mind there. On the energy saving side, the ESCOs often see the energy-saving companies, the one particularly that sold Murfreesboro, and they're all over the country. Leidos just infused us into the Corvette plant. TVA is very excited about working with us at the Corvette plant. It's kind of become their flagship for this $30 per ton reimbursement. The ESCOs see often about $70 per ton in energy savings per year. They come back and they'll say $40 a ton just so they're safe, because they've got to financially guarantee that savings. So $40 per ton on a, Ben Mankin told me about 750,000 square feet, and that's not including some of the schools and some of the other facilities. So, I mean, let's just say you had 1,000 tons. There's $40,000 back in energy savings in the first year. And that's how we're often able to see 2 to 3 years return on investment. And some of these that you've seen, 4.5, they've bought through the ESCOs and paid twice what we can sell you the product, same exact system for it. I'm very, very proud of our Philips relationship. Thanks for bringing that up, Mayor. We do have first right over anybody in the country on Philips lamps. We just put in a 35,000 unit forecast with Philips, so bulbs will not be a problem. And we're very, very comfortable with 18-month replacement schedules on those, and you're not going to see a bulb more than $45 a piece from us. So we're very excited about that, and those Philips bulbs. We love them because it's Philips. They've got all the R&D in the world, right? There's no ozone. There's zero ozone byproduct from these Philips bulbs. They're low mercury content, and they have very, very consistent. So if we were to put a radiometer on one of your rooftop units to test the UV output, so we have that comfort, so you're still getting greater than 80% of what we sold you in the beginning. Here we are 18 months later. Well, hey, why buy a bunch of new bulbs if you don't have to? So we can put that on there, and we're very comfortable with that 1 or 2 radiometer reading to see for the whole facility. Let's just wait another 6 months and stretch out this bulb replacement. So you're not going to get locked into that. And if you don't want to buy from us, you want to go straight to Philips, that's fine. Order them a year in advance and have them sitting there. That's okay with us. Another on this last slide, this MLG and W slide, I just think that's so cool because they did that after 9/11, and they wanted to call that a bioterror-proof zone. And that's just so cool to me because that's my dad's backyard. My grandfather worked at MLG and W for like 60 years, and he started off as a meter reader. And so they put enough UV in there to proactively kill anthrax. So this has been going around, been in use a long time in a lot of different capacity, a lot of indoor air quality, and a whole lot of energy savings. So we're excited to be right here in Murfreesboro. So how can I help you? What questions do you have about this awesome technology?
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I think Megan had mentioned something briefly about odor. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. In regards to odor, just like the pathogens, the DNA, the structure of the cell is broken apart. Basically, anything that you smell is a microscopic component of what it is that you're smelling. Whether it's cookies, great. Whether it's musty old whoever, what? Yeah. We just put a upper air unit in the Nashville building up there for Jones Lang LaSalle. And this is just in a maintenance crib. This is not even an induct system. And they're coming in and just like, what did you do in here? And that it smells so, that all these smells that we were having a problem with are just gone. And in one of their upper rooms, it's a meeting room, they were having problems. They did everything under the sun. They called us saying, I know this is not going to work, but we're out of options. Put this in. We put a rack-based system in their air handler, and he called our representative, Derek. He says, what did you do to my system? I expected to be knocked over by this odor. I got out of the elevator, and I wanted to cry because it didn't smell anymore. So it breaks apart those pathogens.
Commissioner Johnson?
What's your track record with some of the nursing homes, et cetera, here in Rutherford County?
We don't have any installation in any of the nursing homes in Rutherford County. We're bidding on a whole network of nursing homes across the country through some other vendors. But it works whether it's in a nursing home or whether it's in a Walmart. It's in the air duct. It breaks apart those the mold and the pathogens that are in the coils and in the airstream. And I'll tell you what. My grandmother had COPD. She had emphysema. And this is how my dad got into the whole ultraviolet world. They said, you need air quality, you need, they sold her ozone generator, they sold her an ionizer, and nothing was doing her any good. He wanted to move her up from Florida to Tennessee. Memphis is pretty notorious for its allergens, and my mom has cats. So he started doing his research and started seeing what the CDC has to say about ozone and what the Consumer Reports says about these products. And he found UV that was actually made right there in Memphis, where they're from, installed it, brought my grandmother up. She not only got out of her wheelchair, started getting back onto a cane, got off a lot of her medication, really, really tremendously improved her quality of life. We've seen friends from church who had pretty severe asthma completely stop having asthma attacks in their homes. Allergies, I can tell I just sleep better. I'm not waking up with as much of the crud, and when I have to go to a hotel, I was in a hotel last night, I just dread it because I know the air quality is noticeably different.
Do you have any clients in Rutherford County now?
Yes.
Murfreesboro.
Expand on that.
We just installed Legacy Family Dental. They were concerned about COVID coming back, and they wanted to put the upper air solutions in there for their exam rooms and also in their waiting room coming in, so that, well, two things. One, we're disinfecting the pathogens that are in the air, but also to give their customers the peace of mind to see and to know that they're doing it, and to protect it for their employees as well. It's a very high-risk field, dental, and they're right there over people's mouths. We know this is transmitted airborne, and so they were very proactive about it. Let's see, I had City of Murfreesboro, yeah. City of Murfreesboro just a couple of years ago purchased it, put us in, and I've heard different things, 26 or 18. That was from a different rep. But every fire hall, I called my friend Ben Honeycutt over there at the fire hall at South Church Street. I said, hey, go look at your air handler. He said, yeah, there's a little light here, yeah. I said, yep, you got it. Every fire hall, the police station, city hall, and that was primarily for energy efficiency. That's how Corvette got involved. They wanted it for energy efficiency. Then the unions said, oh, look at all this science that shows how effective this is. We want it in the rest of the GM plants. So then the rest of the GM plants are coming over like dominoes. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Thank you.
Any more questions?
I just have maybe two more. So it's very obvious how the duct the unit works on the upper area or upper room or whatever. How does that work? Does it draw the air through it, or?
No, actually, there is a tremendous amount of natural circulation in a room that we don't see. You've got ducts pushing air in and air's moving out. I'm a 400 BTU chimney. Every time I walk and move and talk, air is moving upward. And so we put a UV light on a fixture that's mounted approximately 8 feet above the ground, just a few feet above people's heads. It's got some louvers to direct the light in a zone. So the air will go up into that zone. It's not moving near as fast as in an air duct, so you've got a lot longer dwell time for that UV to act on those pathogens. And it actually has a lot more circulation. They've tested UV in rooms and compared it to air change rates. There's a huge kind of attention going to fresh air and ventilation and air change rates. So UV, upper air UV in a room, has the equivalent of between 20 and 1,000 air changes every hour. Is the equivalent of how well it cleans the air versus, compared to fresh air ventilation.
And you mentioned, I think it was your grandmother?
Yes.
So
yes,
is there I guess a market for residential, or was that your father just came up with something for?
Well, that was the original. That was the plan. Yeah, he just saw so many individual and personal benefits, and so the plan was to turn it into a kind of a turnkey franchise-based system, kind of like a gutter helmet or a bath fitter or something like that. And there are a lot of residences that use it. So the problem with residential is there's a lot of Chinese fly-by-nights that are coming into that market and making it really hard to buy quality products. All our stuff is made by hand in Memphis. It's stamped by local vendors, and the quality is outstanding. In 15 years since my dad's been with, it was Lumalier in 1963. My dad came on 15 years ago, and he could probably count on one hand how many problems he's had with these units, and it's verifiable, tested. He's on the ASHRAE TC 2.9 upper air in the UV committees, the National Institute for Safety and Testing, trying to unify all these vendors and markets that say UV, okay, how do we test it? What do we call it? Is it measured in this? Is it measured in that? And so he's been trying to unify it for a long time, and he goes by ASHRAE standards.
Does your company do residential also, or just commercial and government?
We don't market specifically towards residential, but I love residential because I love those relationships. I love the people that tell me that how much it's helping them. My landscaper has really bad allergies. I told him, you are in the wrong field. I put it in his house, and just like the next day, man, I'm sleeping so much better. You walk in, you just feel, it's like the air just feels better. And so I'm happy to do a residential installation, mostly on referrals though. So we're happy. We also are excited to help awareness. So we're happy to get our designers to make Rutherford County compliant signage to say, hey, we are going the extra mile. We have proven ultraviolet disinfection in place in this facility for your health and welfare. I don't need a logo. I might have a logo in the bottom corner. It's not an advertisement for me. It's an advertisement for Rutherford County. That people, the citizens, need to know that you guys are going that extra mile.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, address the elephant in the room. You know what the elephant is? The expense involved.
Okay. Well, the expense involved is actually pretty, I would say, moderate or reasonable. If I had to give a broad-reaching ballpark, I'd tell you it's about 30 to 35 cents a square foot plus installation. So whether you guys do it or we do it, there'd be a little installation on that. What I'm proud of is that our products come, it's not an erector set that the installer or electrician has to come in and figure it out. We provide everything from the safety switches to the viewport to the framework that an electrician just basically has to run power to a junction box. So our installations are pretty much turnkey. The benefit of that is, first of all, you got 35 cents a square foot approximately, but on the back side of that, TVA is paying $30 per ton. So a ton covers about 400 square feet, 30 bucks. And so for every 100,000, I did some math, or 100,000 square feet, so $30,000 back from the TVA. With the energy savings, if you're only saving $40 per ton on energy savings, so between the 30 from the TVA, the 40 in energy savings, that's 70 bucks a ton. That's coming right back in your pocket first year. So we expect to see a total return on investment in energy savings for you in under 5 years. And I say that very comfortably because honestly, I'd expect a lot shorter than that. It will completely pay for itself in under 5 years, just in energy savings. Now, the additional savings of not having to have a chemical cleaning service to keep the mold off those coils, and the storage and everything else involved with the chemicals, the regular maintenance of having your facility managers or your facility, your operations over there physically cleaning coils, the possible damage that they could do during those coil cleaning cycles, so the labor. But then most importantly, if it's running like new, it's going to last longer. I've got in my previous residence, which I still manage, a system from 2006, a builder grade air handler. I can open that air handler up and the coils look brand new. And those are some of the slides that she was showing you. I guess this thing's cut off. But some of the slides that were on the presentation were some coils, same coil, before and after, caked with mold and looking brand new. So the initial cost is offset very, very quickly and pays for itself. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Commissioner Cook.
I'm very much interested because we have a nursing home
Yes, ma'am.
and we've got it shut down. And our loved ones can't go see their loved ones in the nursing home, a glass between them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
No, ma'am.
Now, say that we have one in the nursing home out there. when the people come in, how long would they need to stay in a room before they were germ-free, so to speak, wouldn't be spreading COVID to somebody that they were going to visit?
If we put, my recommendation for a nursing home would be to install the induct system so that all the air in that facility is being disinfected to a 99+% inactivation rate per cycle. So a normal air conditioner will cycle air 4 to 6 times every single hour. So every 10 to 15 minutes, you get fresh air. That air is going back over those coils, provided doors are open, it's allowed to circulate and that kind of thing. But I would also probably recommend for nursing home 1 or 2 of the upper air units for like some of the more common gathering rooms or meeting social areas. So that would be my recommendation. To answer your question about how long, not long. It's always on. It's always run. It's proactive. So within just a few minutes, and you get in the realm of making dangerous health claims to say, okay, I promise that within 5 minutes that everything's going to be inactivated. I can show you on the math that it is, but I can't. I don't have a crystal ball, and I wouldn't pretend to, that one pathogen is not hiding on a dust mite that gets inactivated. But one thing that we do know is that the level of coronavirus that people are seeing, the amount that they are affected by it, is determined by the dose that you inhale. So if we're killing 90+% of everything in the air per air pass, the likelihood of them inhaling a dangerous level of dose is dramatically reduced. My wife got it, and she had a fever for a couple of days, and she was lethargic, lost her sense of smell and taste. None of the rest of us and my wife, myself, my 2 young daughters, none of us got sick. And we have it in our house. Maybe it was the grace of God, maybe it was the UV. It works. I don't know how to be more specific to answer your question specifically on time. Very, very quickly.
Got them up. Go ahead.
I just don't like seeing the nursing homes, the hospitals closed where their loved ones cannot go in. And some lives can be saved
Absolutely.
by them going there.
Yes.
And so I'd like to look at the expense of putting one in.
Be happy to do that.
So, and if I go in to see someone, maybe I need to stay in a room for 10 minutes or whatever, because it's a short term. The way I understand it's a short term. Then I could go on into the rest of the facility.
I think that'd be a safety measure to put them in a room with the upper air that's also affected. 5 or 10 minutes just to let everything. But obviously, you're going to take the normal precautions. Their temperatures are going to be checked. They're going to have the sanitizer masks. I think that would be. I think that'd be a very safe additional measure, and within 10 minutes, I think would provide a very safe air quality for that room. But yeah, I agree with you completely.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, if the committee would like, if you want to move forward and let the Mayor's office work with Mr. Mankin and the Director of Facilities and kind of maybe pick or choose some of the facilities that he might suggest, and let us work with Adam and Jeff and their company, and then come back with a proposal. And at some point in time, with the holidays, I don't know how quickly that can happen, but we're willing to do that if that's the direction the committee would like to travel.
Do I have a motion to that effect?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dodd?
Do we have any obligation to seek, advertise this for bids as opposed to inviting somebody and making a selection?
I didn't hear him.
Can you talk up?
Do we have any obligation to solicit bids
Are you the only manufacturer?
We're the only Tennessee-based manufacturer that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anybody else do these type things?
There is some import of some Florida manufacturers. They're very, very long, far out on their bulb lead time because they're proprietary bulbs, but not that I'm aware of, no.
And are you on government contract, GSA contract?
Are we on a GSA contract? We are an approved member of the TVA Preferred Provider Network.
Okay. Let us check on that, Commissioner Dodd. And
Thank you, Chairman.
yes, sir. Be happy to check on that.
On the bid, I don't think we, to the point of the bids yet. I would like to have more information of a report coming back. Narrowing it down, what buildings?
Before we put it out to bid.
Yeah. Well, that's what we need to do first. Before we even get to the
Sure.
price and bidding process, we need to look at what buildings do we think this system would be good for.
Well,
And I would like that to come back, that's me,
yes, sir.
come back before we get into prices and bids and all that. And if this company is willing to go with the mayor, work with the mayor's office to determine what buildings, I can't see where we will be breaking any bid process, because all it is information only type ordeal and describing what buildings. That's just my opinion.
Well, and you make a good point. You may say, well, go over to Goldstein's building because it's an old building. But then again, if we're looking at putting how much, Ben? $750,000 in a new HVAC in it, or 800?
I hope not too.
Yeah, but we did have one bid for that, and that's why we put the brakes on. But then we add this to it. Does the commission really want to go forward on spending that kind of money on that building? So we move to the next building, which would be a better building to look at.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, I don't think that would be anything wrong, before we identify the buildings, is to choose a vendor, and then whatever buildings we come up with, we'll already know the cost, and we know we're going with this particular vendor. And just a reminder, we accept bids or approve bids not just based on price or cost. We also base it on research, references, the quality of product. So just as a reminder, it's not just cost. There's a lot more factors that go in. So just to kind of throw that out. But I wouldn't. What exactly does the motion say?
Just to move forward to identify some of the buildings. And
Okay.
It was a general motion. Yeah, general motion just to move forward.
To move forward.
And identify it. It did include price and all that.
And working with them, he's already quoted us, he's about 35 cents a square foot.
Approximately, yes, sir.
We could work with him and just to make sure that we're pretty close on that, and then come back to you without ever putting that out to bid. We're just getting general information, right?
But it is also correct if they're already on a government contract, we could piggyback off that?
I would like to, well, he's not on GSA, but I would like to reach out to TVA and see if that's acceptable through the comptroller's office.
Okay.
Ben? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
Mr. Chairman.
The two buildings that we're putting the air conditioning in right now are the Goldstein building, or we're going to take bids on that. The Goldstein building in Paws, and I've been in touch with an engineer, and that's part of the bid specs. That's one of the things that we're doing as part of that bid is putting UV lighting in those two buildings with the air conditioning at the same time as the installation.
I think Paul's would be from an odor control.
Oh, yeah, Paul's would be a good one.
In Steve Sandlin's office from an odor control.
Okay, that's good information. I guess what I'm trying to say I don't see nothing wrong with legally doing what this motion is saying we want done, but you can check with the county attorney, but I don't see why it could be,
Well, I want to check with TVA too.
yeah, be in trouble. Any more questions on the motion? If not, call the roll on the motion.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you very much, ladies and
pretty
gentlemen.
sure the mayor's office will, you two.
We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch after Thanksgiving.
Okay, next on
Mr.
the,
Chairman?
Chairman.
go ahead, Commissioner.
I just wanted to let Commissioner Dodd know that the pamphlet on this information, Mr. Sandler's going to put it in your mailbox.
Thank you, David. I look forward to the other items as well. I'll pick them up Monday.
All right.
Okay, on the agenda, one-stop update, I would like to move that up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Without objection, I had told Mrs. Kroll that I'd ask you if we could bump that up because she has another engagement she has to be at. So it's just a very short update, just to let her know, and the committee as well. Talked to Mike Hughes today. He's been in contact with Dave Parker, who is the survey manager with SEC. They have completed the boundary and final plat on the one-stop property out at the corner of Fortress and Blaze. They have completed the final plat survey work. They have completed the background deed and easement, and they are working on the boundary survey. Their intent is to have all this done and ready by the city's deadline for December the 10th. So it will go before, I don't know, where's it go in the city? They go city council, planning, or where? I don't know where.
I'll go to the city of Murfreesboro, we'll
Yeah,
put it
but
like that.
I didn't know who votes on it, but anyway. We'll meet the city's deadline, Lisa, wherever it goes.
Yeah. Commissioner Johnson, you got a question?
Do we need a motion to move forward with this?
This is basically, no, sir, this is just information only, just
Okay.
an update of where we were on the one-stop. I think we're proceeding ahead. As soon as that gets done, city council passes on it, then I think we're prepared to come back to the full commission.
Okay, do we need to move this, the total lump sum fee, $13,230, need to forward that to budget?
If that's the recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
I recommend that we do that.
Yes, sir.
That we forward it to budget?
Yes, forward this request to budget, that we fund this to go ahead and get it in motion.
Okay, do everyone understand what the motion is?
Okay, thank you, Rachel. What we need a bid on, a motion on tonight, we had bid out the services, okay? And the services, we got a quote from Civil Infrastructure Associates located here, and we talked about that at planning, I believe. Their quote came in, lump sum fee $13,230. Let me get to the next one. Rachel, do you have the next one?
On there, the next one was energy, land, and infrastructure. Those numbers are listed. And then the last one listed is SEC. And through the email, that's who they decided to go with from prior workings with them. That's professional services.
Talking about the PBA board, decide to go with them,
Was it the PBA?
That is correct. They came in cheaper. Boundary survey was $3,000. Topographic survey was $4,200. Final plat and lot calculations $2,500. And then they had a breakdown on their fees, but we did a very good comparison of the other two bidders, and SEC came in several $1,000s cheaper.
Commissioner Johnson?
We need to move this forward, whatever it takes.
Yes.
If we need a motion to send this to budget to, for this total lump sum fee of $13,230 to get this in motion, I'll make that motion to get it started. If it needs to go to budget or wherever it needs to go.
Well, I'm not sure that it really needs to go to budget because it's professional services, and I have the money already in my budget.
What I thought.
In the mayor's budget to pay for professional services, and
Okay.
so I went in and signed the contract
Okay.
with SEC based on that.
Based on the money you had on hand.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we have done that in the past on projects that went through PVA to let them go ahead and bid out and go ahead and proceed on if the money is available. And the money was available in the mayor's budget, and
For the professional services.
Okay.
Yes,
okay, so we really don't need to move this to budget.
All right.
Everyone understand what we're discussing? Commissioner Dodd, did you hear that?
Yes, sir, I did. Thank you. We have acquired the services of SEC to proceed. It sounds like they've almost completed the task, so
Okay,
that's good.
so we're all on the same page on that. Okay, any other information we'll bring up on One Stop?
yes, sir. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda, project list for local government grant, CARES grant.
Mr. Chairman, Ben is here. We have this prepared for your all's, I think Commissioner Dodd, you had requested to get the information. You want to see the back breakdown of where we have spent money. Let me reiterate again on the COVID grant, what we call the CARES grant. It was 4 point something million, 4.8, 4.9 million. And we were struggling because we had deadlines that we had to meet, and most counties and cities were struggling the same way we were because those deadlines were only like a 60-day window to try to figure out how you're going to spend that kind of money. And so, as I explained in budget the other night, Ms. Nolan came up with the idea that we go ahead and transfer things like the phone system, $400,000 phone system at the health department, transfer that over to the CARE grant because it's COVID related, and we were able to justify that. But still, we were only able to come up with about $2 million out of the $4.9 million that we were able to spend. So what we thought, instead of having to be caught under that stress of trying to hit that deadline and just throw things up there that we didn't want to obligate the county commission or the tax rate to, because once we submitted it, we had to have it purchased and in place by the end of December. Well, you couldn't even get a fire truck manufactured in that period of time. So Ms. Nolan, she came up with the idea, let's take every emergency, first responder, health department worker, et cetera, for all those that have been involved in the COVID process since March. And we would turn all of that in, which far exceeded the 4.9. It actually went to about 12 million for payroll, benefits, retirement, et cetera. So that's almost a guarantee when we submit that for reimbursement from the federal government administered through TEMA. That money's all going to come back, and then we will sit down. But here, what we have placed before you tonight is kind of an idea of what's going to be spent with that money once we get the reimbursement from the federal government. The general capital building grant was about, that was 3.7 million, and you can see some of the things that we've spent or obligated to, like the roof on the courthouse, a new roof at the jail, the generator at the jail, which was $350,000. It's being manufactured, a new Caterpillar generator. Those are the type of items that will come through this grant to be spent. So this is just an FYI at the request of Commissioner Dodd to see where we are at this point.
Commissioner Dodd, did that answer your question?
I am absorbing the spreadsheets. And can y'all hear me? It seems like I'm lagging. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, just talk up just a little.
So, yes, I think I have what I need, where we've obligated or 3.786 million on one spreadsheet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the other one, Mr. Mayor, the other sheet has the yellow highlighted areas. Is it a different set of numbers, or does it support the previous spreadsheet?
Well, it supports, you can see where we got a phone system for the health department, that breakdown that's highlighted in yellow.
Got it. Okay.
We've got infrastructure for our network, which IT is getting a large chunk of this because it's renewing and enhancing our total network infrastructure. Little things like UAV batteries for the thermal scanner. Those are little items that went in to collect, but we chose to take those and kind of set them aside and go ahead and turn in all the salaries and payroll, which far exceeded the 4.9 or 4.8 million for that grant, which we feel like that we will get that reimbursement, and we're not going to spend anything until those monies come back in.
Yes, thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody have a question on what we just discussed? If not, that was just information only, and we'll move forward with the archives building.
Good evening. Okay, the update on the archives building is the structural steel is complete. Stair towers are completed. Stairs are completed both north and south. Rough-in electrical in the stair towers. The plumbing rough-in is started, and they've poured this week. They poured the second floor concrete deck. They're going to start the roof on the existing building next week, and they've raised up. They're going to have to move the rooftop units, and so they've got those suspended to put the roof underneath them, and the HVAC rough-in for the first floor for the new building. They've got that started as well, or for the new addition, I should say. And it looks like a building, so I encourage y'all to stop by and take a look at it and see what you think.
They're way ahead of schedule now, aren't they?
They had a big delay on the steel, on the structural steel, and it put them about a month behind on the schedule. I think by the first week in December they ought to be back back on schedule.
Back caught up to the schedule.
Yes, sir.
It's going very fast.
Any more questions? Okay, if not, while you're up there, I guess you can go ahead and do 20 North.
Okay, on the old judicial building, or 20 North, as we're calling it, let's see, let me see where I'm at. The drywall is 100% complete. There are just some odds and ends on the first floor. The final finish coat of paint is completed on the second, fourth, and fifth floor. Ceiling grid is completed on all but the first floor. Rough end plumbing is completed. Sprinkler system is completed, and all the new heads installed. About 90% on the first floor. Electrical panels installed and terminated on the second, fourth, and fifth floor. There's some little mini split air conditioning systems that they've mounted those on the roof, and the line sets are run and they're being terminated. All the flooring throughout the building is complete except the first floor, and that's supposed to start in 2 weeks. We got the demo plans from the architect, and I think the contractor told us today that he's going to try to start the demo the beginning of next week for the third floor. They seem to be, I don't know if he wants me to talk about this or not, but they seem to be way ahead of schedule. But that could, if there is a delay of material, of course that could change things. But it looks like everything's way ahead right now.
That's good. I got one question. What about the windows?
Okay, so the windows, we were really pressing Gresham Smith to get us the architectural design, and there seemed to be some miscommunication there between the PBA and the architect, and so the contractor can't we're going to include in that the windows. It'll be a separate breakout item. He's already got pricing on that, but we wanted to include it in the total because to handle this as a change order will help expedite, as opposed to having to rebid the windows. We felt like that PBA said that they could, Mr. Vault, Chairman Stan Vault, and Brick Murphy, the attorney, felt that they could handle this as a change order on the whole project for the third floor. So we should have, Stan was supposed to sign that contract that somehow got lost between Gresham Smith and Stan. He's going to sign it, and we'll get the rest of that, and then Brett with Cadell will be able to start the pricing and get that very quickly. We're looking somewhere 150 on the windows.
I think that's right.
About 150,000 on the windows.
That was his estimate, I think.
Yeah, that's just an estimate, but he's got a couple of companies that he's pressing real hard, and we got some good news today. We were thinking 2 or 3 times for the demo cost, and he said he was able to put some pressure and on the subcontractors on the demo and got them estimated around $80,000, and we were thinking
correct.
150, right?
That's correct. He originally estimated 150 for the demo, and it came in at 80,000. So that was
that's a good savings for us there. So PBA seems to be happy with that, but when you all get an opportunity, if you want to get a hard hat and a reflective jacket, you're welcome to go over there and take a look around, but you'll be amazed. The bathrooms, the hallways, I mean, it's going to be a beautiful building.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Dodd.
Remind me, have we received a total estimated cost to remodel the third floor, or are we waiting to approve the plans that Brick sent out?
No, sir, that's what I was referring to, because the lack of communication, we're waiting
Oh,
on.
my bad. I thought that was just the windows. I understood.
Yes, sir, Gresham Smith should have those
I digress.
numbered to us
Okay.
as quickly as possible now that Mr. Vault signed the agreement, right, Ben?
Gresham Smith will they'll get the plan after it's approved over to the contractor, and then he'll price it. And then as
Okay,
soon as
excuse me.
he'll-
I thought you were referring to the windows in that particular conversation, so enough said.
Okay, so we can look forward, maybe getting the third floor estimates
Yes,
next
sir.
meeting, somewhere
Yes, sir.
around there.
We better have them. Matter of fact, we've got to have them, because his subcontractor is going to start walking away looking for other jobs if we don't get it.
Because they're finishing up projects.
they'll be finishing up and ready to go back home, and so.
Okay, next, any questions on that? If not, next on the agenda, Judicial Center.
Well, I can answer any questions
Yeah, that's
about
why
that.
I'm bringing it up.
I don't have any
No update.
report on them.
No update on Judicial Center?
No, sir.
Anybody got any questions on the Judicial Center? If not, and we talked about One Stop, so the next on the agenda is community care.
Last week, the parking lot was sealed and restriped, so I understand that's looking pretty good. Our director, executive director, submitted his letter of intent to resign, effective January 3rd. So I've been on the phone most of the morning with the state, trying to find out what our options are. Doug Bodery, our chairman of finance, of the Finance Committee on the Nursing Home Board of Community Care, his father has retired from that industry and knows some folks, and he's located 2 folks who might be willing to come in on an interim basis. And the plan is right now is to bring one of these 2 gentlemen that has expressed an interest in coming in and serving as an interim director on a temporary basis, and then we would elevate our DON, Director of Nursing, over to study for 6 months under the accredited director, and then she would sit for her exam, state exam, and become the administrator. That's the intent from the internal managing, and I know this is property management, but you probably need to hear that before you hear it on the street. That just happened this week. Ben, update on construction?
So we met, me and the architect and the director and the contractor met. It's been a few weeks now. The architect he's given the contractor, it's been 6 months since we've signed the contract. And so he's given the contractor an option to update some of his pricing because of the cost of material and the different reasons. And so that price list has been sent to the architect, and currently we're waiting on the architect to go through and to review those prices, and then he's going to forward it on. He'll forward it on to us to I guess to see whether we've still got the right amount of money or not. So we don't know what that pricing is going to be yet. But that's where we're at, and I don't know where we have all the COVID cases cleared as far as.
We did when I told you that the other day, but we have a couple more staff.
Okay, that's correct. So we can get into that wing.
It changes daily.
Any questions on community care? Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, Ben.
Now we'll call on our Deputy Director,
Mayor?
Steve Sadler. Deputy.
Well, let me, before Mr. Sandlin gets started, Mr. Chairman, let me say, I want to thank Commissioner Dodd for asking this. You know, I had originally come to you with one parcel that I asked, I would like to get permission from the committee and then ultimately the full commission to start selling some of our excess property that we have, and let's put it back on the tax roll, and you know, make sure we put the money back in our bank. And I really didn't have an idea, so I thank you, Commissioner Dodd, for asking for that, because this has been quite an exercise between Mr. Sandlin, Rachel, Mike, and GIS. We actually found a piece of property that wasn't even on our list down in Smyrna that we didn't know that we owned, and we do.
Probably a lot in Smyrna.
Yeah, so this has been a very good exercise for us to look at, and then hopefully this committee will direct us to identify some parcels that if they want to, if they're sellable, let's put them back on the market and see what kind of tax revenue we can.
You had to leave to go to the city.
Yes, sir.
At our last meeting, and I asked that we update this on a yearly basis.
Yes, sir.
As something similar to like the road board do with their book. So
the
therefore,
roads,
we
right.
would not be guessing. If we asked about a piece of property, we know we still own it, or know who owns it, or know we've sold it or whatnot.
That's a good exercise.
Yeah. So if we can get this updated on a yearly basis, I think it'd be real good. So. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Let me tell you a little bit about what you're looking at. And like the mayor said, we, with a lot of work involved here from GIS, Mike Curtis and his team, you would not be looking at this, because a lot of work went into it. A couple mistakes were found on the way they were listed or the way they were named or whatever, and so they've straightened out all that, and I'm sure we'll find something else, or you'll find something in here that doesn't look right or something, and we will. It'll be an ongoing, like you say, book, like the road book, and corrections and updating. So the big sheet that you're looking at, here we'll start out there first, gives you kind of like your table here of the light green, olive looking colors of properties with schools on them, and you have a picture book of those, which I'll go through in just a second. Your pinkish looking color right there is your mitigation properties. That's your properties that have been purchased through federal funding, state funding for flood areas that we've had to remove the home or whatever the properties there have been flooded. And then you got properties of note of inventory here in the yellow highlight, and then everything else in white. So pretty self-explanatory there. It kind of goes through all of those type things, highlighting all the different ones. And then if you go to your picture book, actually, in the right-hand corner, we'll start off with the top one. This is on your first page right here, is actually the property over on Weekly Lane. I'm not going to go through all these, just kind of going to tell you what you're looking at in each one of these pages. This is our convenience center here, and it gives you the highlight, the dark blue that you'll look at, be surrounding the property and what it looks like, a square, an oblong, a rectangle or anything, or however it is. It'll be outlined in that blue. And it'll show you up here in the right-hand corner what the map is, parcel, also what the address is, if there is an address, if it's if there's no buildings or anything on the property, and some vacant properties, of course, it won't have an address, but we'll have a parcel and a map number on all of it. In this case, it's on Weekly Lane, Convenience Center, and it's also showing you here how many acres, 4.5 acres that's in that. You turn the page, it goes to Weekly Lane over there, 18.22 acres. That's the Smyrna County Clerk's office right there. But you remember, part of this right here on the second page has changed just a little bit because you allowed through a request through Smyrna City to put some ball fields on there. So that's changed just a little bit as far as what you're looking at. That's the acreage that we have, but you've given permission to, that's one of the things like we would update, continuously and update your book each year. So the next set of pages that you have is school properties. This will go through and list the schools, like this is Barfield Elementary on your first one right here. And if you look up in the right corner, it's got 1.5 acres that's been designated right there that we could do something with it. What would we do? That's about the only acreage that they have on Barfield Elementary that's available. Your next page be Blackman Elementary. It's got 4 acres there. The rest of it that you see there in that acreage total is future use for expansion onto Blackman Elementary if they want to. If they want to add more classrooms, so forth and so on. So like I said, there's probably some other things that you might want to see on these booklets. If it is, let us know. We'll get those highlighted and done. But we actually didn't do a plan like the mayor was saying. We want you to kind of soak this in, give you some Thanksgiving reading material, and then we'll come back at the next meeting or so if you want with request or something and get a plan on some of these properties that you want to get back on the tax roll or to do something with. And of course we have some plans on some of these items like the combination of the fire and ambulance stations that y'all talked about in the last full commission meeting and some other meetings in property management and as well as public safety and so forth so on. If you look in here, it'll show our landfill color page there. What's in the landfill. Well, that's a different animal altogether there and its intent, but take a look at this. Any other changes that you want to make, we'll adjust as we go and get it down to where it's something palatable for all of us here in the future as well.
Questions?
Thank you, Steve. Just a clarification, and you may have mentioned this, I missed it, but on the school picture book, where you got the this area here.
Yes, sir.
What does that signify?
Well,
like every school it has that diagonal.
Like Kittrell Elementary School, there's 88 acres there, and I'm thinking, man, that's awesome. 88 acres. What can we do with 88 acres?
So that's just available land that we're not using.
Right, correct. That's available land that's off this Kittrell Elementary School property. Some of it may be hills, some of it may be surface rocks, some of it may be sinkholes and stuff. So a lot of this area, that's highlighted in those available areas, 59 acres over on Rockvale Middle, Rockvale High School, we don't know how well that property is. It was probably more than likely part of the farm that the county purchased to put the school on. That was the remnants, as you may call it, of land that was left over outside of our building plan, and then what do we want to do with it, in the future.
Very good. Very good report. Commissioner Cook.
Across the street from Rockville, is that 96?
99.
99?
Yes, ma'am.
There's 15 acres there. Do you show that here?
To the right of, and I believe it's in here, to the right of Rockvale Elementary is where we're looking at, putting the next fire/ambulance station on that piece of property right there.
I know some have been wanting to build a annex school there, and we'd still have land left over for ball field practice from that. That's across the street from it.
Yeah, right across the street from the Rockvale High School, which would be, if you're looking at the elementary school, it'd be right to the right, would be that little square piece of property there that we're looking at putting a fire hall ambulance station right there that y'all looked at.
We still got room. We could still put this.
Still got plenty of room.
Yeah, we got plenty of room there, and we need to use it.
Yes, ma'am.
For that. for school too, because the middle school is overcrowded.
A lot of opportunities. Thank you.
So, like he stated, let's look over this information. If you have any correction or any additions, try to bring them up at the next committee meeting, and then we'll proceed on with this project. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes, sir. Mayor acknowledged I'd requested this. I really want to thank Steve and everybody else that participated in putting this together. I'm grateful. Thank you. I wish the mayor had acknowledged me, because that's a lot of busy work.
It sure is. Okay, any other business come before us tonight? Okay, yeah, that's right. Got one other thing to bring up on the other business. That's deciding the meeting date for December. I don't think you would like to meet on Christmas Eve, but I don't know. Yeah.
We can't go to here because that's the full commission.
Yeah. 24.
Commissioner Johnson says he's making chocolate chip cookies for Santa. Can't do it that night.
Yeah. So it looked like December the 21st, 22nd, and the 23rd will be available if we need them. But December 21st is that Monday.
So is something scheduled on the 17th? Okay, that's kind of important.
What about the 21st, that Monday? Commissioner Dodd, you hear that? Next meeting date to move to the December the 21st.
Yes, sir. I heard that. I was waiting to see if anyone else responded. It works for me.
Okay. Look like we would meet December the 21st. 5:30. Okay, and then the other business to come up before the committee tonight? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.